Just pop us open here to make sure that we're good before we start dropping bombs and nuggets and
people
nuggets
not listening.
Sounds wrong though. That's something you're gonna run away from. All right, yeah, we're live here. Oh, and we got people watching. All right, cool. So good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. If you're
It's
in
a
America,
beautiful day here.
It's a bated breath Wednesday with a rivetingly close election that is still undecided.
Yeah, it seems like it can swing either way right now. We'll see.
All right, you know what? I'm going to promote Tim. Tim, you're in charge of tech and timing. There you go. You could be you're going to be our manager from now on. Making sure the tech works and we stay on time. Yeah, so interesting times here. And, you know, I named this show today after the Shakespeare play, Henry V, once more into the breach, because our UK friends are getting ready to lock down again. New York is threatening every day to do the same thing, although getting kind of immune to that because that's just the rhetoric up here. You know, so it's like we're still looking at tough times. And, you know, John and I were just chatting before the show about how, you know, some of the challenges we're facing. And it's when times are good, it's really easy to just coast and get by and be happy with the students that are coming in and what your team is doing and all that stuff. But, you know, when things are tough, all these little chinks in the armor really get highlighted. And sometimes you have to innovate, shift, pivot, adjust the sails, all these catchphrases that we like to do. Because, you know, and in the Henry V poem, he says, you know, we either have a choice. We can fill the hole in the wall, the breach, with the bodies of our fellow Englishmen, or we can roll up our sleeves, make like tigers, and go take the fight to them and charge through that breach. And I think that's what we want to encourage everybody to do today is don't despair. Recognize that we come from thousands of years of warriors, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to figure this out and we're going to charge forward.
Yep.
And
yep.
You know,
hey, before we go any further,
today, England is still here, so it must have worked.
Yeah. Before we go any further, did you share this in the groups, by the way, or no?
I did not, because every time I seem to do that, that's when we have the technical difficulties and have to shift.
All right. Zoom. I'll share them as we're talking right now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. So today, you know, long story short, is we're going to be talking about some of the ways that we're looking at to keep new students coming in through our doors. You know, I don't think the majority of us are recovered, you know, maybe back to where we were, or even if you're back to where you were, you're maybe not back to where you would have been, right? Because we lost a lot of forward momentum.
Or even if you're doing a lot better now than you did before COVID, don't take a deep breath and just settle. Don't do that. Okay. Stay hungry, but stay humble. You know what I mean? Because you never know where you don't know what's going to happen in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, heck, in the next month. You know, Jennifer and I were talking about, okay, let's just go ahead and sit down and make some notes of what should we do if plan A happens, what should we do if plan B happens, and what should we do if plan C happens. And, you know, Michael, I kind of sent you a message yesterday about what we sent out, and you follow us through our system. You know,
yeah, I get all like on spam mail, and you know, constantly sending me offers.
I mean, hey, if you bite and pay me, I don't mind at all. Like, I'm not gonna say no.
So like, you're saying I owe you money? Is that what it is? I owe you a quick start confidence course. Sign me up.
And or even if you want to do our end of the year special, I'm not gonna be like, you know, oh my gosh, Michael bought something. No, I'll take that and say thank you.
Yep.
One thing that I want to share with you guys, a lot of people, and this is a mindset thing, a lot of people say no to money. A lot of people say no to, um, when people give them gifts, they say no to gifts, right? I'm going to challenge you to not say no. Take it with humbleness, take it with a thank you, and find a way to pay it forward. Okay, that is success money manifestation number one, and I'll leave it at that. But one of the plans was to send out a quick email so we are able to get some of our leads, or some of our, let me rephrase the word leads, because it could be a suspect or it could be a previous lead, try to come in and sign up during these times. It was like one of those drop email, like, hey, we've got some openings, would you like to come in? But yeah, we're talking about a lot of stuff to,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments here. We got a couple of our UK friends chiming in that they're in lockdown as of tonight. And, Victoria, actually, let me pop her comment back up. Let me get our names out of here. Everybody knows who we are. Hold on. There we go. So Victoria was actually a rock star, when the first lockdown happened over there, to the point where people completely across the country from her were calling us saying, who's this Victoria woman? And, why is she taking over the martial arts industry not close to her school? It's like, because she's a rock star and she was able to pivot. And it became really, I think, for her, because I follow her closely for inspiration. Yep. For her, it became, how do I keep these kids engaged and moving forward? And just watching the things that she did, she really did a great job of it. Now, that was when it was, oh my God, what do we do? This time, and I'm going to pop up Damien's comment here, that they've been preparing since the first lockdown, and now they have a ton of stuff ready to go. And yeah, this time it's not, oh my God, what do we do? From a teaching perspective, at least. I know some of us are not where we want to be business-wise, and maybe it's a little scary, but it's this time we know what's coming, and it's everybody else knows what's coming, and everybody else knows that what comes after what's coming, and it's just kind of the status quo now. So I'm sure there will be a certain amount of attrition.
yes.
But it's not going to be like the first time where everybody goes into panic mode. And at this point, everybody's more like, again.
Yeah, but you know what? Last time we did it, we were all newbies. We were all rookies. We didn't know what to do. I still get people messaging me about how we have our setup at the studio in terms of the camera monitor, main stream unit. Right now, you should be pros. And I can't tell you the number of people out there that said, oh my God, I hate Zoom. I'm going to drop it real quick. I'm not doing Zoom anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Guys, I'm going to prepare you right now, especially for those who are in the US. Go ahead, get Zoom, look like a pro, launch it back up. If you're stuck in your mind about not doing Zoom, I don't know what you're going to do in a month or two if this goes through.
So I just got a notification flash across my screen that my Zoom payment just went through, just as you said that. And look, I hate Zoom. It's emotionally draining. It's not what I imagined I would be doing, when I became, a business owner, a martial arts instructor, a child development specialist. It's not just, but it's right up there with, I also didn't expect to have to become a marketing specialist or an accountant or all these other necessities in my business.
But Michael, one thing that we're teaching everybody and one thing that we're talking to everybody about is it's not about you, right? It's not about you as the owner. It's not about you as the instructor. It is about the community that you're serving. And if you're not out there showing the community that you're serving that you can do it and do it better than before, people will be like, oh, he's going to Zoom again. Let me drop out. No, go ahead and educate them. Go ahead and tell them what you're doing. Go ahead and let them know how many cameras you've got set up. Go ahead and let them know.
Today, even they threaten us every day in New York that they're going to close us down. They probably won't. Although, Michael Simmons just posted that he's doing well in the Bronx, and the Bronx, New York City is still in this, you're not allowed to have indoor classes.
Yeah.
They can do what they do inside. You just can't have an instructor. It's the stupidest thing in the world. but they're being very closely looked at, and the city is dealing with these hot spots where because martial arts schools are considered gyms, they lock us down first, whether we were involved or not. So he's able to thrive in the face of that.
I mean, Georgia has been in phase 2 for the longest time. They just opened phase 3 for us like literally about a month ago, right? But we still have people who are doing the Zoom classes. We still have people who haven't put a foot in the door yet since the lockdown. Now, guys, I'm going to step out right here, and I know this is going to sound like really bizarre, and if any of my parents are watching, don't take this the wrong way. You can't tell me you're not going to the store to shop. You can't tell me you're not going to the soccer, because I don't think you go to the soccer games or the soccer practice. They go to the football games or football practice. They go to the baseball game and baseball practice, but they don't want to come to the martial arts studio. Well, I can see the reasoning behind that as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not about me. It's still about what the comfort zone is. Maybe because it's an outdoor activity, they're okay with it. Okay. Even though soccer and football and sometimes baseball is still within close proximity, right? But it's still an outdoor experience. Indoor experience is different from person to person, right? So again, what can we do as school owners, as entrepreneurs, to make everybody around us comfortable enough? What can we do to educate them, to let them know that we're going to take it to that next level? And by the way, if you're under the Skillz umbrella, we've got your back.
Yeah, we're watching. Even though we're still open, we are watching. So, John, you mentioned that parents have different comfort zones for different things, and it may not always make sense to us, and it's not for us to judge, because in judging, you shut down possibility. It's just for us to listen to, and very often what will happen is, in listening to those fears or to the things that make them feel comfortable, you gain valuable information that allows you to kind of change how you speak or what you do. In the Monday meeting we had for the Skillz members, Melody talked about that concept of, digging for gold, and most people stop just before they reach it. And, one of the things I brought up was the way that we look for gold nowadays is not the same. No. You used to have to go look in a riverbed, and then we learned to pan for gold, and then we learned how to sluice, and then we learned how to mine. And now we use satellites to look for places where there's potential gold and mineral deposits. So, this is an opportunity to try to do things differently too. Sometimes the challenges we have is that we're trying to do the same thing differently. Yes. Instead of just saying, what do I have to do differently? You're trying to cram that square peg into the round hole, and that's where your frustration comes, instead of learning how to whittle and making your peg round.
Yeah. Yep. Just, slightly go out there and resharpen your tools right now to make sure that things are the way you would like them to be. And we keep on saying this, and we keep on letting everybody know, if you keep on doing it and it's not working, reach out to one of us. Reach out to another mentor that you trust. Reach out to somebody that maybe had success with it, that they may be able to, move you forward in the right direction. I have learned that as a black belt, we're so hard-headed as black belts, like, oh, I'm so embarrassed to ask the question because I am a 10th degree grand master with, all these bells and whistles, and, no, it has nothing to do with your rank at this moment, you guys. Entrepreneurship, running a business is not a black belt thing, okay? It's just about, what your forte is, what your niche is. Yep. Some people are really good on the floor teaching and doing all that stuff, but when it comes to selling, it's not the same.
Yeah, and let me just, because I have to, because we're in a public venue here, I have to put it out there. Like, so, Master Simmons here mentions that they stopped using the word gym, and yeah, that was one of the impetusin. One of the reasons that we made this shift from martial arts to child development as well. That said, our government does not care what we call ourselves. And in New York, we are legally defined as gyms. So yep. We're going to leave your comment at that. And please don't get yourself into trouble by posting publicly. I don't personally care what you do,
Yeah.
as long as you're being successful. But just be mindful of this is a public venue.
And also, don't forget your area, your region, your territory, your city, your sub-city. Like we're in Swanee, which is a small city within a county, right? In our city, we have to abide by two governing bodies. Okay, not all places like that. Not all cities are like that. Like, if the county says something, then it's countywide, right? Not for us. The county can say something, but we have to check with our inner city if that law or that memorandum applies or not, right?
Yeah,
So,
and New York City is the same. They have like the state guidelines, which are very stringent, and then New
yep.
York City is even a layer more than that, with some of the things that they're imposing. So I really feel for our city people there.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for those little small things, like if they close, does it mean, is it a county thing or is it a city thing? In terms of I don't know, mask, like maybe they'll keep us open, right? But they're gonna mandate masks, right? Well, check and see if is it a city thing or is it a county thing? Those small things are gonna make a huge difference in how we're running things. But let me go back and keep on saying this because I'm gonna say it over and over and over this entire show. Educate your parents and educate your community. Okay, don't leave your parents in the dark, right? Let them know on weekly basis. Go out every single week and do what's up Monday. Hey, parents, wanted to come out today and let you know that things that we're looking into, things that we're researching in case things happen.
Yeah, so I just popped one of my favorite quotes on the bottom. It's attributed to a few different people, usually to the Dalai Lama, but it's know the rules so you can break them effectively. So, this does not just mean go find all the rules and break them, especially nowadays when, half of our areas are under borderline martial law.
Yeah.
You don't want to tempt that, but it does mean don't guess at or impose your viewpoints on what's happening. Really learn the rules. So John has two governing bodies. I have two where, they both fall in line in my case. So I don't really have to worry about differences very much. But New York City has two, Sensei Johnsei and same in Philadelphia. So, when you know all these rules, it allows you to create plans that maybe not break the rules, but don't step on the toes of them. And we see this a lot in states where, like after school programs or, like day camps are highly regulated. You need to know exactly what your state regulations are to be able to call yourself an after school program so that you can make the decision. Do I follow all those rules and legally call myself an after school program? Or do I know what those rules are so I can steer clear of them and call myself a transported martial arts program? It's not that you're breaking a rule. You're making sure that you don't fall under, rules that you don't have to unless you choose to. And in this case, like if I had chose to go under childcare, I would have been essential from day one and never had to close. But now you're talking like $50,000 worth of modifications to my facility and hiring on of certified employees. And there's a balance there that you have to make that decision for.
Yeah. And also look into what you can do inside of your studio to maybe modify things slightly. So if things were to shut down or if things were to go back to a different phase, right? So like if you're in phase 3 and it drops back to phase 2, what can you do that's different? So I'm going to let you guys know this. I've lost a family of 4 roughly about 3 weeks ago because our lobby hasn't been open. Now she's like, I don't understand why your lobby is not open. I don't understand why you're doing this. I don't we're in phase 3 now. You should be able to open your lobby, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, you know what, Michael, I'm going to just example saying like I'm talking to you, Michael. Michael, I totally understand your frustration. Trust me, I get it. But let me explain to you what would happen if the lobby is open and a case is inside of the lobby, right? Like if you were to call me and say, oh, by the way, John, I tested positive, I have to shut the entire studio down because it's the lobby. And those are the fine lines in our Georgia, protocols when it comes to the pandemic. Now, if there's a case in one of my rooms, all I have to do is shut down that one room. Why? Because they come in one door, they leave out that same door. In case you guys don't know our building, we've got 3 rooms that we're teaching out of. Each one of those rooms has its own entryway. We're blessed in that situation, right? But because of that fine line, I don't want to open my lobby. You know what I mean? And there is other martial arts schools in the area that shut down for 2 weeks. They had to quarantine. And I mean, if we were to close for 2 weeks because of quarantine, who's to say that we're not going to lose 10, 20% of our people?
Yeah, it's not worth it. And, like these are the things, being adaptable in your mindset. And also, some people just don't have the perspective. Like in New York, martial arts schools fall under gyms. Even though we're a skills school, we're teaching child development. We're not a licensed school. So we are a martial arts school because we use martial arts symbolism. And people don't recognize that gyms are more highly regulated for COVID than any other industry except doctors' offices, and emergency rooms. So the things that we have to go through are so high level. And then what people also don't realize is that gym doesn't just mean gym. They go, oh yeah, that's the gyms, but what about you? Why can't you open everything? Well, because gyms include martial arts schools, dance schools, yoga studios, anything with a soft floor, anything where there's physical activity, anything where, the law is actually written. So any indoor training is considered a gym, but they don't define training, right? So it's intentionally vague. And the community just says, well, I could go to Walmart and I could go to a restaurant, and at school, my kids get mask breaks. I said, well, not here, because they don't have that understanding of the ins and outs of the details of the law. So, this is all the educational aspect and the things that we have to put up with. Well, put up with is the wrong term. Maybe adapt to,
Adapt to, yeah.
So once we have all these things, I mean, these are the things that we're dealing with. How are we bringing in students in spite of everything that's going on? Because I know some people are still struggling, especially if you're going into lockdown. You're probably, your brain capacity is probably more focused on, all right, let's make sure I keep all my people, which is good.
Yeah.
But we still want to be pushing forward. A shift should not mean stop growing.
No. And, again, it's all on how you're going to educate your community, right? Like if you do small videos of your students in the studio and you're taking the proper steps and the proper precautions, showing them that they're wearing the masks, showing them that there is social distancing, showing them that your room is not packed, sardined with students on the floor. Those things are going to make a big difference. We did a little snippet with our core skills class. There were, I believe, 8 kids in the class that day. And this was like back in June. And we just kept on pushing it out there. And now it's one of our business cards. So when people call us or they text us, first thing goes out to them, hey, this is John Salama. Welcome to Atlanta Skillz. If you have any questions, please let me know. Click on this website. Boom. It's our e-business card. When they click on it, the first thing that comes up is that video. And Jennifer did it together. That's so nice, so beautiful, that when they see it, they're like, oh, like the instructors are wearing masks. The students are wearing masks. Now, it clearly says on our door, mask is best practice. It's not mandatory. So it's up to you as a parent to let them know they need to wear the mask. Yeah, and we let everybody know.
And I think the key there is not even showing the cleaning or showing the masks. I think the key there is the professionalism of it. Even with all the growth that our industry has had over the past 10, 20, even 30 years, there's still a perception that you're going to walk into a sweaty Cobra Kai dungeon dojo and be yelled at for walking in and disturbing class, and have to do all these weird things in weird clothes. And when it becomes just a professional relationship, I think that breeds a lot of confidence. that, okay, this business does this weird thing in weird pajamas, but the business as a whole is a professional establishment with cleaning processes, and they're abiding by protocols, and they really do have my best intentions at heart.
Are you hearing that helicopter over me?
Just barely.
Okay, all right.
They're looking for you, man.
Okay.
So, some of the conversations I've been having as you deal with your helicopter there, some of the conversations I've been having over the past probably week or two is, how do we get these new students in the doors? Because some of the things that, so I'm going to paraphrase, some of the things that we traditionally do aren't working as well anymore. And then the question is, okay, so what do you traditionally do? And it's funny because traditionally now means Facebook marketing and Google marketing and YouTube. And it's funny how that's the new traditional. But, last year, this was really all we had to do to rely on to get new students in the door. I think we're at a point now where in areas where we're still open, I think it's important to look at the classics and go back to things we used to do before, the computer here became the way we interacted with everybody. And then in areas where you're locked down and the computer is your only method, I think that it's important to take that to an extreme. So it's the old, walk on this side of the road, good, walk on that side of the road, good, and walk in the middle and squish like grape. There's my Miyagi quote. You got to go kind of to the extremes of old or new these days.
You're absolutely right. And there was like so many times I wouldn't do certain sales, or I wouldn't do certain things simply because I don't feel like I need to, right? And right now we're living in a different world. You know what I mean? We're living in a world where people are either laid off, scared and petrified. They want their kids to do things, but they're not sure, if they should or not. So yeah, we decided to do what we call the end of the year sale, and we dropped like a huge discount, for people to come in, pay a set price, and they train for the rest of the year. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's nice now, because not so much about the sale, because we don't do sales very much, but I think what you're selling there is not even the trial. I think it's the opportunity to earn their trust.
Yes, and right now we have to earn everybody's trust.
Yeah,
because
for us, we haven't gone sales yet. That's one of the things we have in our Friday meeting, is to set up our sales, and we're going to take your advice and kind of rush those things out before Black Friday. For us, this has been a great time for like that B2B stuff, because we're not the only businesses that are scared and hurting and in flux. So this was a great opportunity for us to get in with some local businesses to figure out, how do we work together? It's no more about how do I get your students to be my students, or, this is how do we work together to really help the kids and make sure both of our businesses stay open so we can continue to do so. And businesses that have been a little traditionally hard to work with, more in the educational field, with a little creativity, they've been really receptive to us coming in. So we just had Huntington Learning Center made us goodie bags for Halloween, and we let them put their swag in there. But they made goodie bags with full-size candy bars in them for us to hand out to all of our members. So that made us look pretty good. And in exchange, all I have to do is, in one of my upcoming posts on Instagram, is I'll say, here's what we do. Just like at Huntington Learning Center, they incorporate a similar method into their learning practices. That's all I had to do. And they gave me like $100 worth of candy. More importantly, though, they run 4 regional centers. And now that's a relationship that I have, where when kids are struggling emotionally and having trouble, on those lower levels of the Maslow pyramid, they're going to send them to us. And when we have kids who are just struggling with e-learning and educational stuff, well, guess where I'm sending them? It became a really good quickly formed a relationship. And with a little bit of creativity, that could be expanded anywhere.
Absolutely. Just like you were mentioning the B2B, we received a call last week from one of the I'm gonna say like it's like a foster agency. So it's an agency that deals with foster kids and stuff like that. And they heard about us simply by Googling and reading the blogs. And in case you guys are not utilizing Google My Business, utilize Google My Business and make sure you're putting the stuff out there. And she loved the fact that we are like flat out, she knew that we are a martial arts center, but a licensed child development center. Okay. And she understood, how we put it together because, again, she has a master's degree in social work. So she connected right away. And now what she's doing is there are counties here in Georgia that's not open yet. There are counties that the gyms are not open, or one of the counties that she serviced, the martial arts schools in that area have shut down because they did not want to do the virtual classes. So they just, bellied up.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Are you still offering virtual classes?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Oh my gosh, that's great because I've got people that want to do martial arts, but they don't want to drive the distance because they're like an hour or so away. And based on all the martial arts schools and their classes, they're all in the evening. They're not doing any morning classes." But I let her know, yeah, absolutely. They can join us in the evening while we're doing classes. However, if you have enough people and they would prefer to do morning classes, we can easily open up morning classes. Again, being adaptable, understanding their needs, understanding what they want, because at the end of the day, they're going to be a paying customer.
Yeah, and this is a really good example of adaptability. So let me pop Victoria's thing back up. So for them, most of their after school activities are shut down, and here too. And I spoke with somebody earlier this week who said, traditionally, the way that we get all of our students is our relationship with the school. They spent a lot of time building that relationship to the point where every PTA meeting, every time they had a gym takeover, every time they had a fundraiser, this instructor was in that school and he would always get 5 or 10 students out of each event. And now he says, well, they won't even let me come in. And I said to him, well, it's not that they won't let you come in. Most of them are not allowed by law or mandate to let anybody come in if they're even open themselves full time. So this is not like, oh, I lost a relationship. This is, so how do you become adaptable and still fulfill the needs of that relationship? If you're married and something happens to your spouse and maybe they lose a limb, or something horrific happens, you don't say, well, there goes that relationship. You adapt and you figure out your new roles. So in Victoria's case here, where the schools are closed and the after school activities and the sports time is down and fitness levels are down, what are the things that you're going to offer to solve those problems? Remember, nobody signs up for your business. They sign up for the solution to their pain or the solution to their problems. Even if that problem is, I'm bored and I always wanted to take martial arts, it's still about them. So now if you're seeing these pain points, again, we're back to that square peg round hole kind of thing. Do you just keep doing what you're doing, or do you recognize that, wow, there's a brand new market here? So, do you reach out to the schools and say, look, I understand that I'm not allowed to come in. Here in New York, we have this weird, like the school sports teams are allowed to practice and play games, but only on a limited schedule, and they're not allowed to go traveling to do it. So it's like they're half in season and half not. And what's happening is the performance of all the athletes is going down. So if I was so inclined, I'd be reaching out to all those sports coaches and saying, hey, I understand you're working with certain restrictions and it's affecting not only the performance, but the safety of your athletes because they're not at their peak. Here's an online session that I can offer you. I'm not going to charge for it, that I can offer you for your students, and we'll do it every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. It's going to be a half-hour online workout, and you can give them practice credit for it. And that way they're still getting their fitness. So you're breaking your laws appropriately. I'm not, and we're working together. Now I'm breeding goodwill in my community. I'm solving a need that's in the school, and I'm adapting to maybe this becomes a service that I offer, in person once things settle down. I think even, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the UK, but this is a 1 month lockdown for now. It's kind of time limited as long as everything works the way it's supposed to. So imagine if you're creating that relationship now, and then in a month when things open up, you say, great, as a celebration, let's do this group workout out on the I'll say the football field, even though that means something different for us than it does for our UK friends. What's that worth to your business to be able to say, I worked with the school district? That's goodwill in your community. Those karma points come back to you. Plus you might get some students out of it.
Yeah. I mean,
just brainstorming, I'd be doing the same thing with the PAL leagues here in the States. That's a police athletic league. They run the kids leagues before the school leagues really pick up. I'd be doing the same thing with the little leagues, with all of the scouting troops. I'd be probably in with all the local churches that have Royal Rangers, which is like the church version of Cub Scouts. Anything where they have organized kids activity, I'd be looking at what I have to offer and figuring out how do I create something new just for them. Lockdown due to finish on 2nd of December. Okay, good. So at least there's an end in sight, right? You can plan for it as long as there's an end there. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any comments here. Cool. All right. So, John, you mentioned blogging before too. This is one that I've been using a lot, and I've actually been going, me, I can't write something less than like 7,000 words.
I know, right?
People, hey, Mike, quick question. And I got to like stretch. And I've actually been doing like a lot of micro blogging. So like 200 to 400 words. And I've been doing it on Instagram and Facebook. And that's actually been getting a lot of engagement lately.
I've noticed.
And I'm modeling it after other child development specialists. So PT, OT, parenting coaches. And like my web leads have gone up, and I spend exactly the same amount on my budget every month. And, nowadays ad spend tends to be a little up, I think, because we're fighting for political space in our ad. But my leads are way up, and I can only attribute it to this shift in my marketing. I'm providing insight that I'm an expert, but I'm also working to solve parents' problems. So I've also shifted there.
When you're saying your leads are way up, just so we can define that for them, are you talking about people who are opting in or people who are actually signing up?
Both.
Okay. So from suspect to leads, the numbers are up, and then they convert.
Yep. Yeah, they're coming in. Not all of them. So it's an interesting thing. Not all of them are quite ready for what we do. And I think that's a mechanism of two things. I think it's the times we're in, where a lot of the kids who would normally receive services in schools are not necessarily getting everything they need. So they're looking for alternate therapies. And because we're coming across now as this educational facility, I think we're attracting a little more of that. And it's nothing against them. We're just not prepared to professionally deal with some of the deeper challenges that these kids have. And then the other thing is I'm getting the parents who are looking for, hey, I'm having a parenting challenge and it's showing in my child's behavior. And until they solve that internally, they're not necessarily ready for what we do. So we're getting a certain amount that are coming in, and they're coming all the way through to our evaluation, and they're not quite ready. However, we've just created 2 new programs that we're going to be implementing in the next few weeks that are kind of like Skillz light almost, that are designed to be very parent centric with the kids there and who are going to guide them towards being ready, because sometimes they just need the tools, right? Just like the same way we do an eval, and a kid might not pass the eval, but if I give him a couple tools in a lower class, he'll be able to move back up.
Yep.
So we're going to be experimenting with that as well.
So for those of you out there who are not writers or bloggers, or you're not able to do that,
man, copy and paste that stuff.
Well, and please give the credit to the person who wrote it. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where they go, "Oh, a parent comes and asks you a question about what you wrote."
I love
and
that.
then you don't know.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, and then yeah, don't don't do that. Don't do that, please. Always let them know. And guys, listen, I do it. Jennifer is my wife, and I do it when they walk in the studio and they ask me a question. You know, they already know. By the way, I read Jennifer's blog, blah 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 blah, because I let them know when they read the blogs at the bottom. If please read, understand the fact that I'm not the one who's writing those blogs. My wife has a master's degree in psychology. She specializes in childhood development and parenting. So if you have any questions, do me a favor, just go ahead and ask. Okay. And if they come and ask me a question and I don't know how to answer it because I've never experienced it before, I'll tell them, hey, give me 24 hours. I will let you know right away. I'll ask Jennifer the question and she'll let us know. Okay. But if you don't know how to do it, just simply take the blogs that's out there, take a paragraph every single day and post that paragraph, and make sure that you've got a picture that goes with it, or maybe something in your class that would go with it, right? So, for example, Michael is scrolling through motivation. Is it motivation, Michael?
Yeah, I think this is the motivation molecule. It's just when I clicked
Okay.
on it. I just wanted to show that, so I get all this stuff and I understand it, but I'm still putting Jennifer's. I mean, first of all, it's just the ethical thing to do. She wrote it. But second of all, it's like that builds my team. And here's another tip for you guys. Like, if you have an article like that and a parent comes and starts asking you questions that you're not prepared to answer, ask more questions in return. Hey, I'd love to help with that. Can you tell me more about it? And let them lead the conversation and say, wow, this is a really interesting situation. You know what? Can you give me 24 hours? I would love to get the advice of the psychologist that we have on our team, and I just need a little time to be able to talk with her so I can give you a really good answer. How awesome does that sound? I just don't
By the way,
for a bunch of phone calls, by the way.
you went dark. You went dark on my end, but it seems that you're fine on Facebook. Anyway, but if you're able to take that blog about motivation and take it where you're taking one paragraph a week as a series, if you don't know how to write, that would be a good way to educate your community and educate your parents. It doesn't always have to be the full blog, because let's face it, nobody's got time out there to sit there and read 3-4 paragraphs, right? Take pictures of something that is motivational inside of your studio while you're teaching the class, because you're going to be posting the entire blog about motivation this week. Every single day, take a picture of your younger kids class, older kids class, adults class, and just put it out there, one snippet at a time. So that way they know why you do what you do. I do that on Google My Business. That way I'm keeping constant post. We are the #1 martial arts studio in our area that has as many photos and as many posts around us on Google. And that attracts a lot of people to us.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Is you got to be in all these places. So like for those of you that are locked down, you need to be everywhere being an expert. You don't have the opportunity to go to fairs and stuff. You need to be on all these powerhouses. Like not necessarily the smaller places where nobody is, but every place where your customers are, you need to be, and you need to be giving them, showing them that you're the expert. As I respond to somebody who's asking a leading question, probably to try to get me shut down.
Lovely.
I want to know how often we spar. I'm going to say never.
Okay. To answer that question, I know some schools out there who are already sparring. We're not sparring, guys. I am taking this opportunity to work a lot with our students on their kickboxing skills, and we are doing a lot of bag work versus sparring, and that keeps us safe. That keeps our parents happy. They're not having to worry about anything. Yes, the kids can wear a mask, and yes, we can buy the shields and put it over their mask, and yes, we can do all that stuff. But the 1 second, that 1 minute that something happens to that child, they're not going to know where they got the virus from, right? Because they're not going to go that, oh, this DNA, this virus DNA came from this person. No, they're going to come back and say, well, it was because you sparred. They're going to find a way to blame us one way or another. And we don't want that. We don't want that.
So, John, I didn't get a chance to really dig into your email. Can you tell me a little more about the end of year sale that you have going on? Because for those of us that are still open, and I know we talked about it briefly about how it's building trust and everything, and we don't normally do sales, but what do you actually have going on so we can all copy it?
Sure. By the way, do you know how hard it is to be talking to a blank screen? just saying.
You just got to tape my picture to your phone there.
Right. Anyway, I put the phone up. Okay, so the intention behind the end of the year sale is to bring people in the door who want to try it out, but they don't want to commit, right? And we don't have a commitment policy anyway. We don't have the 3 months, 6 months, 1 year or whatever. And we wanted to raise prices anyway. So we went ahead and raised our prices, and we raised our down payment. We raised our monthly tuition to what we call the average monthly tuition, the monthly tuition that, we feel like as a beginner, they need to be. And we said, okay, all you would have to do is pay the down payment now, and it will cover you unlimited classes until the end of the year. Now, guys, let me define unlimited for you, or like what unlimited means on our end. Our tuition covers 2 times per week in person. But because we have unlimited Zoom classes, they can do the 2 days a week in person, but they can also do the 2 days a week, the other 2 days or the other days on Zoom. It's not hurting us any. But of course, we're letting them know. So inside of our membership agreement, it clearly says, as an added value, we have decided to include unlimited classes by using the Zoom platform, so your child can get some sort of activities on a daily basis. Okay? But we also let them know that we would love for the parents to find a way to connect with the children every single day during those classes. So we don't become the babysitters. And when we're doing our pre-evaluation, we let the parents do that. We let the parents know that.
That's something that I know is one of those catchphrase fears for our industry of, well, I don't want to be a babysitter. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's important that if you don't want to be a babysitter, you actively show why you're not a babysitter.
Yeah.
And with Skillz, it makes it easy. Oh, wow. A whole herd of deer just came out of the woods across in my backyard. Cool. Sorry.
Let's not talk about deers. I've got a trauma going on right now with deers.
Yeah. Sorry. Didn't mean to give you flashbacks there. And they're off. Sorry. Now I totally lost my train of thought. I got distracted by, and there is a squirrel too. Squirrel.
So
you know what? Yeah. Setting expectations. Go ahead.
Yeah. So besides setting expectations, we also set the value that they're going to pay right now. To their naked eye, it seems like it's almost paying 30% of, like they've got almost like a 60% savings, right? To the naked eye. For us, by them paying that down payment value right now, at the end of the year, we're gaining. Now we're setting a certain amount of number to it, like limited number, okay? And at the end of the year, these are new members only. This doesn't apply to our current members.
You're not losing it.
So I'm not. Yeah, exactly. And by the end of this year, we would gain 10 to 15 new students, right? Now we're gaining those new students. They're paying the down payment, but overall, I guess I'm gonna say net loss would be like 30%.
So when you enroll them like that, do you have it set up so that it's, you know, automatic, your billing picks up on January or 1st or whatever it is?
Yep. And that is, and like when they click on it, so for example, they click on early Skillz, it says, you know, down payment is this much. The training per week, I'm sorry, the monthly payment is this much. Regular monthly tuition will start on January 1st, 2021.
So I think the difference there is also that, you know, you're not doing like a sale on sign up now and you'll save all this money, and then you have to like resell them at the end of a trial. You know, like,
no,
you know me, I hate trials.
No.
You know, so it's not like, hey, come in and I'm selling you a 2-month package after which I'm going to try to enroll you. You've already enrolled them.
Exactly. I'm kind of, here's another way you guys can look at it. It is a, say, 12 months membership, right? Over a 14-month window. But I'm not charging them for the first 2 months.
Yeah. And I like that. It's still the mindset of, you know, when you come into my facility, you're still here to enroll. You're not here to try, which means that 50% of the time you're willing to not try. You know?
No, and it clearly says on top, when you click on the website, it clearly says on top, end of the year membership agreement or membership program, something like that.
And, you know, out of all of that, guys, what I want you to pay attention to is, you know, we're doing okay, but to us, okay is not very good. But even as we're looking at, you know, what happens if we close again, or yes, we are still losing students at a higher rate than we, you know, normally would. We're not defensive on, well, let me lower my rates and have ridiculous sales, and I'm going to do huge family discounts because I just need people in my door. So John said he raised his rates. You know, he's enrolling people on long-term. You know, there's a question in the licensed members group about, so with lockdowns, should I look at doing more long-term contracts? You know, so you are doing a longer-term membership. The other thing I mean, like, just my thing with contracts is contracts never guarantee anything, you know, and yeah, you can argue that, well, they signed the paper, they're going to pay me all the money, but like, all right, ethically, if they quit, it's because you didn't uphold your half of the bargain anyway. So, you know, it just feels slimy. Contracts will never keep the student. And if they do keep the student, they'll never keep a happy student. Now, contracts do have purposes. I'm not against them. I'm just against using them as a retention tool. You know, so the point here, though, is like John is on offense. He's raising rates. He's recruiting new students. He's finding ways to make it attractive to them. The things that I'm working on, I'm going out and finding new ways to make relationships, to meet new people who are, if not similar in mission, then at least similar in mindset. So, or similar in audience demographic, so that we can find new and exciting ways to work with one another. Both of us are looking at what are the pain points that people are having that are completely new, and we're finding new solutions to them, not just using the same old thing. People like Victoria over there in the UK went from being, you know, awesome at what she was doing, but for all intents and purposes, you know, she had a powerful program, a strong program, but it was a local program, to all of a sudden being on BBC and causing waves across the entire United Kingdom because of the amazing stuff she's doing. She was able to simply look at it and say, oh my God, there is a problem. And then say, okay, what's the solution to the problem? Whereas most of us get stuck on that first part, right? We get stuck on, oh my God, there's a problem. And we never get past that. You know, when you start to look past what is the problem to, great, there's a problem. What is an entrepreneur? It's somebody who makes money by solving other people's problems.
And I mean, again, that's the thing. Like, I've made the post a few weeks ago regarding, some of the famous failures in the world, right?
Always
Sorry, you're pointing down.
fail. Good job, Tim.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're looking at problems as failures, okay, just don't panic. I mean, just don't panic. How many times did you drive a car and one of your tires just blew out? Was it the end of the world? No. The thing here is, okay, what can I do right now to shift? What can I do right now to find a solution to this problem? And if you have a problem and you can't think of a solution because you're deep in your thoughts or deep in your stress, again, find somebody that you can talk to that can possibly look at things, not objectively. Like, people are not going to be biased towards the situation.
Yeah, and that's a great point. John C. Maxwell does a whole podcast episode on perspective.
Yep.
And he says one of the reasons that successful people fail is we start to, and he puts it far more eloquently, but we start to, enjoy the stink of our own BS. In that what happens is we become experts and professionals, and our perspective narrows down to only our way of doing it. And in leadership positions or coaching positions, what happens is then it's, well, if you're not doing it my way, you're doing it the wrong way, which means you're leading people to fail because they're not you. And yeah, they may get some value out of it and may get some forward momentum. You're not giving them the tools to actually solve their problems. You're only telling them, do it my way. And it's the same thing with looking at a problem. If you only look at it in that narrow perspective of your point of view, oh my God, there's a problem. But you don't have that wide perspective. It's the same level of failure because you're only looking at that one aspect. If you're able to objectively step back, and I think we talked about this, I don't know, we do so many shows and stuff together. I don't even remember where we talked about it. Sometimes you just need that step back to take a breath. I think it was a few weeks ago when we were talking about seasons and yes. Sometimes you need a winter. I think it was Kelly telling us about it. Sometimes you need a winter where things are quiet and you just step back and it lets you broaden your perspective to, all right, yes, that is a problem. But the bigger problem is that I was doing something that allowed that problem to exist in the first place. And if I really widen what I'm doing, I mean, that problem may still exist, but I don't care anymore because it has nothing really to do with me. I'm too busy. What's that? I'll be too busy looking good. And sometimes you need help with that. So here's our shameless plug. If you need help with that, that's why we're here. If you're a Skillz member and you need some chatting, let us know. If you're in need of coaching, we're available for that too. Shameless plug.
Yeah, one thing too, guys. Again, I mentioned it last Monday or the past Monday. Mentioning it today. If you're planning on doing Black Friday sales, or this is the time of the year where everybody does the Black Friday sales, don't wait till Black Friday. Start dropping some sales right now. Maybe if you want to do pay in full option. Okay. If you want to do whatever you want to do, don't wait till Black Friday to get it done, because there are major retails out there right now who are dropping them right now. Okay. Because right now, a lot of people are at home and a lot of people are doing online shopping.
Yes. So Victoria just posted about how she raised prices and also mentioned that there's limited capacity. So look, a good profit margin for a martial arts school is somewhere between 3 and 10% profit margin. In New York, we are mandated to operate at no more than 30% capacity. It is impossible at my old rates to be, forget profitable, to be breaking even. It's just
even, yeah.
In order to stay in business, we had to raise rates. It's not like, oh, well, I want to, oh, but people are going to think I'm greedy, or, the old that we've all gone through. Well, martial arts shouldn't be inaccessible. Look, if you're telling me legally my business has to operate at 30% of what it used to, well, guess what? I still need to live. Well, now my rates have to go up to make that difference up. And people understand that. It's not just us. This is every business doing this.
And if you're worried about how some of the parents may perceive reading the email or whatever, do it as a video, because your compassion, your compassion is going to come through the video. Let me tell you how I did it, okay? Because I found it to be more effective than just through an email, okay? And remember, and this is something that we discussed, at the Escape. It's about the relationship, right? You don't just send somebody a text or an email saying, hey, I need extra money. Okay, I decided to do it one-on-one, one person at a time, 3-4 people a week. And yes, it took a little longer, right? But me talking to those members that I feel like, okay, I've got members who've been with me for 10 years. I kid you not, these people are still paying, $80, $85 a month. Okay, because they've been with me for that long. I didn't need to raise their fees, as we were going along, because we were doing so well. Right now, it's just a nice little conversation. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for your support. I know you guys been with us for a while, but we're at a point right now that we definitely have to raise our fees because our rent is astronomically high given the current situation, losing all the people. I don't know what your budget is, Michael. So would you just do me a favor? Take this in consideration and let me know if you're able to come up to our current fees. That would be great. But if you just let me know what you're able to do, I'll be more than happy to meet you that way. So now it's no pressure.
And these are people you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
It's not like Go Schmo just signed up and wants a discount.
No. And I'm going to be honest with you. We decided not to raise prices on people who signed up within the last year because they're already paying, at almost 15% less our current price.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and realistically, like if raising somebody's rates a couple bucks is what makes them quit,
they're going to quit anyway.
They were going to quit. They already quit. They just didn't have a reason to tell you.
Yep.
And especially like we all have those couple people in our school that are paying us like $60 a month that we just don't talk about when we talk about our numbers. But yes, I'll miss them in my school, but it wasn't the rate raise that did it. And really, when you take the emotional aspect out of it and we just look at business, all right, so now I just lost 5 people that were paying me $60 a month. I'm going to replace them with 5 people that are paying me $399 a month.
Absolutely. That's why earlier when that one mom that I was talking about who was upset, because our lobby wasn't open and she had 4 of her kids in the lobby, like in our studio. They've been with us for 7 years. I love them to death. Don't get me wrong. But they were what they were paying me based on the old mentality. Remember the old mentality? First 2 people full price. After that, everybody's free. Yeah. Okay. No. Bye. Sorry.
And I know we're talking about like ways to entice people in, but also when somebody leaves, in the old days it was, well, fine, you're leaving, it's because you're not good enough, and we used to blame them. Like nowadays, if somebody leaves, especially in during COVID times, you have to make the breakup more pleasant than the honeymoon was, because nobody stops them from coming back later. And we've had it happen. We just canceled somebody yesterday because they just weren't ready to come back for 8 months. So we finally canceled their membership. I mean, they had been on hold, so we weren't charging them. And as they got the email notification, they said, you know what? Thank you so much. We want to come back. And let me tell you, they were paying us like $60 a month last time because they were mini Skillz, and now they're paying $187 a month. So sometimes the people that you replace members with are the members who left, as long as you're breaking up in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're a little overtime here. Let me give you guys a quick bit of homework. I want you to dig into empathy for this week and stop looking at your problems for just a week. I want you to look at another business in your area that caters to a similar demographic. Remember, everybody who's going to become your customer is already somebody else's customer. I want you to look at the pain point of another business or industry, because we'll include schools here. They're not really business. I mean, I guess that argument could be made. And look at what their pain points are and figure out how to solve them for them. And then go make that offer. And I think what's going to happen is in solving and helping other people's problems, your problems will first of all be taken out of that blinding, in front of your face kind of thing, give you that wider perspective. But it'll also give you new ways to figure out how to come up with solutions to your own problems. They might even solve your problem in return. So that's your homework this week, is to get out of your own head and get into somebody else's with empathy. I guarantee it comes back to you.
Good homework.
Good homework. I guess I better take my own advice too, right?
I'm sure you're doing it already, bro.
Oh yeah, man. I'm working this Huntington Learning Center thing because that's huge. They've got a good name in the neighborhood and they're right on par with who we want to be. All right, everybody. So you've got your mission. Hopefully you've got your peace, your serenity, your focus, your vision. For those of you locking down, this is not another ending. It's just another chapter. And some chapters are a little different than others. You're going to crush it. For those of you in England, go read Henry V, the Unto the Breach speech, and see if that doesn't fire you up to charge into this battle. I almost want to speak with a British accent just so I could say it's about me, but I've been trying. I still can't make it work. All right, guys. Time to go get it.
Peace out, everybody. Take care.
We'll see you next time.